Joe McDade. And I interviewed Joe 2 years ago for a Web Weekly article, which I have copies, so you can get those at the end. It kind of gives you a lot of background into things. He's probably going to touch on a lot of those. But we're extremely, as we have been focusing and putting together the history of Montgomery, the Pike Drive-In is one of the iconic places that almost anybody that grew up in Montgomery has been to that place. So without further ado, I'd like to meet Joe McDade.
How are you tonight? We're doing well.
Yeah.
I was telling Larry earlier that we've had drive-ins, we've had customers come from every state in the union at that drive-in since I've owned the place in 2006. So it's about 17 years. We've had from Alaska to Hawaii, we've had people from England come over. So hard to believe, but yes, they do come. So again, we've been in business since 2000. I've been in business since 2006. The theater itself was founded in 1953, April 18th, 53 was the first show.
16.
16th.
We're historians.
April 15th or 16th.
16.
53 was the first show. For many years, it was independently owned. Some place in the 60s it was bought by an outfit called CinemaCon out of Scranton, I believe. And they owned it through the 70s to about 79. An individual family chain of theaters bought it called Amos Theaters. He was out of Newtown, PA, and he had that theater, the Point Drive-In, the one on 215. He's got the one in Mahoning Valley. There's another one that escapes me that's long gone. It was not the Silver Moon. And we came along in 2006. The guy ran it before us. The family ran it before us. The gentleman was elderly and was kind of in failing health. And he probably would have been out of business within a year or two because he just wasn't up to the challenge. So we've had it since then. Some ups, some downs. Last few years, I was telling Larry before the program, it's been tough with the COVID situation, and then now with the inflation with the food and the gasoline being what it is. It's a challenging time for any small business. So. But my employees are great. We had the same people back just about every year for the last 5 years. Some have moved on because they graduated college and got married and had kids, but overall, they come back every year, which is phenomenal. They do it for the love of the business and love of the driving. Nobody's making a lot of money there, but kind of like working on a historical site. You got to keep the lights on, keep it burning. What else can I tell you? So we got this year we have new movies coming out. 2020 with the COVID, Hollywood released very, very few films. Last year was kind of a mixed bag. This year we have a full slate. We have a new Buzz Lightyear coming out, a new Minions movie coming out. We have a new Jurassic World coming out.
Oh, wow.
Among others, next week we have Top Gun Maverick, which is 25, 30 years after the original. Tom's still flying.
He's still flying, yeah.
So that'll be a big hit. Much more to come. So again, the challenges of COVID was last 2 years ago, and it's just kind of winding it down now, I guess, depending where you stand on it. Before that, 2016, we had to convert to digital projection. So a lot of theaters went out, mom and pops went out of business because the cost was astronomical. We were only able to convert 2 of our 3 screens because of the price tag. Hollywood made the decision that it was cheaper to send movies on a little hard drive than the old movie reels you guys might have seen back in the day. Saved them up $1 billion, but it cost the exhibitors quite a bit, and a lot of mom and pops across the country and some drive-ins went out of business because they couldn't afford the conversion. We're lucky, and throwing in today. We're open Friday, Saturday now, and then once we get into the June, we'll go Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's $10 an adult for 2 movies, and kids are $5, ages 6 to 12. Under 5 is free, so $5 is free. But if you go to the mall theater, it's usually $10 or $12 just for a single ticket. So to see 2 for 1, it's a good deal.
It is a good deal.
Amazingly, people still complain, but I don't know. We have a full snack bar, everything from fresh pizza, cheeseburgers, hot dogs, ice cream, French fries, big seller, popcorn, obviously, mozzarella sticks, nachos, kids meals.
Mention your staff. One of the things that kept you going was your staff.
The staff, it makes the difference because I don't care how smart you are or how much money you have, you don't have good people under you, you're dead in the water. Especially nowadays, you really are. You can only go as far as your staff goes.
You have 8 people that have been with you for how many years?
Well, I guess some have moved on, graduated from college. We had some people that worked with us before they're now married and have a bunch of kids. I won't mention their name, but one of the people here, when I first came to the theater, was babysitting one of the employees.
She's here tonight. She's here tonight.
Oh.
She won't
No,
stand.
not me.
Oh, it's not you?
No,
Oh,
not
okay,
her.
okay.
And now that same person has worked for us a bunch of years. She still volunteers on occasion when we need her.
Mhm.
She's married with 3 kids.
Yep,
Wow.
yep,
So she was probably about 15 back then, 14.
Oh, wow.
yeah,
So that was many years ago. That was
Yeah.
2006 or 7. And now she's, has her own home, full-time job, husband, kid. So you blink and it's like that.
So why do you think why your employees have been so loyal?
I think they obviously they like the environment. We run a pretty nice ship there. It's not, everybody gets along well. It's not a matter of, it's hard to get, it's like that secret sauce. You have to get the right mixture, you know. You have people coming, you think they're gonna do really well for you, and then you just don't mesh, for whatever reason. They should do well, but they don't mix with it, there's a certain working environment. I think the environment there is a good environment. I don't think I'm a terrible boss. I don't think I'm great either, but not terrible. But there's fringe benefits. They can come on a night when I work and watch the movie for free. A lot of times we test the movies. They come on hard drives, which everybody knows it's a computer drive,
Mm-hmm.
and which is great, and it's economical, and it's about this size. I should have bought one over. But they can get corrupted, like any computer or smartphone can get corrupted. So we test them on Thursday night, and a lot of times they get to see the movie prior to the general public. It's a test to make sure there's no problem with the movie, but they can watch the movie well ahead of time.
Hmm.
So that's a benefit.
I'll let some other people ask a question, but this is one, in the old movies, there's always something that happens in the film room, the film just ends up on the floor or something. What's the worst crisis you've ever had while you're trying to?
We had a blackout once.
Wow.
All the power went out.
Was it the whole area or just?
Just
yours?
us.
Just you?
I mean, if you have the whole area, we can kind of say, it's out of our control. But we've had we had
Did you have to refund the?
wild passes that night. And then we had one, was it last year with the power outage?
mhm.
We had a thunderstorm in the area, and it fried something on the pole.
Oh, no, it was the year before.
2 years ago?
Yeah,
The year before? I thought it was last year.
I think it was last year, I could be wrong.
It fried something on the pole. Bottom line is, the freezers melted, so we lost a lot of money in food.
Oh.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
throw it out. And it's questionable, you throw it out,
Yeah.
And it was just a thunderstorm that fried something somewhere at some point, and, the outdoor business, people think that, and most people are really good. We have good customers, we have security in a lot, and we don't have a lot of problems. Once in a while you have a knucklehead, but we kind of have a situation where you can go there and relax and kind of be together, but not be in everybody's face. The one complaint people go to, I'll use this story I heard over Easter vacation. I saw my wife's cousin, and she said that they went to see the new Batman movie a couple months back at one of these chain theaters. So they go there, and it's her and her son, who's about 12, 11, and his friend. There's no people at the pickup, and it's a kiosk. Put this in, put your credit card in. So there's no people at the ticket counter. It's all electronic. There's a kid at the concession stand, maybe in high school, one kid, charges it for the popcorn. They go in the theater, it's like a 2.5 hour movie, and spent good money. And everyone's on their phones. And it's all lit up, but there's no usher to go to. There's no people. So that business model is a limited employee model. We have pretty good staff there. There's always people around. We have security and a lot. And again, if you're just joining the movie, we're not going to bother you. But if you're going to be disruptive, rude to your neighbor, you're going to get talked to. In a nice way. We don't want any trouble, but it's a family environment. Don't do anything you don't want anybody to do to you. It's probably the golden rule. I don't think we can get anybody out of the place in a couple of years. On occasion, you get a teenager that's a little bit, thinks he's from Brooklyn or from Philadelphia or something. We have to give him the old heave ho, but that's very rare, very rare. And then what we also do is offer an option to bring your own food. We do charge $10 for outside food. People say, why is that? I said, it's not 1957 anymore.
Yep.
The reality is theaters spend close to 70% on the film, a new film, right to the studio, right off the top. So $7 out of $10 goes out the door. Any kind of advertising, it's on top of that. We make it on the food. So if you go to Sheetz, great,
Mhm.
but you're gonna give me $10 for that 6 subs you bought.
Yep.
Because Sheetz on something that pay my electric bill or my phone bill, or any of my bills. And I'm sorry about that, but we didn't used to, back in the day, it used to be different. I said, gas used to be 25 cents a gallon. It's not 1958 anymore, that boat sailed. We have the same cost other than the heat and air conditioning that your mall theaters have. We have rent, we have utilities, we have film rental, we have insurance, we have advertising, and people don't understand that. Plus, we have maintenance on the field, we cut that grass every week, and that's not inexpensive to cut. So, some people don't understand what we charge outside of food, they make the money on the food. And the other thing we tell them is, we can't stock everything you like. We can't really do Mexican food. We try tacos and then sell.
Mhm.
We can't do Chinese food. We can't do subs because if it rains all weekend, those rolls and lunch are
Yep.
straight in the trash. So we sell what sells the most, hamburgers and hot dogs and so forth. If you bring something else that you like, fine.
Mhm.
If you wanna bring a fresh fruit, or vegetable platter, fine. But it's $10 a car, and again, we have to pay someone to clean the field, pay for the trash cans, pay for the bag, and pay for the dumpster service. So,
Any other, some of you people have some questions, please, I'm just.
I also have some props I wanna pass around.
Please.
I don't have a lot, but this is what you get when you come to the window. We also have we've done things with local radio stations in the area. This
Oh.
is back to 2009, free Carlo pass. When you come to one, you get this. We also do season passes,
Mhm.
like the amusement parks do. Pass that around, and then there's an article from 2007 about us and the driving in Danville, the point driving.
Are they still around?
They are still around.
Oh, are they?
I didn't know that.
So I'll pass these around. You guys can take a look at
Good
it.
point and a pint.
Mhm.
There are also 2 screens. And again, the digital conversion has been, knocked a lot of places out. Start here, pass it around.
What do you foresee in the future? I mean, especially with 15 being grown, growing out there with businesses.
I
and
thought the
that.
sheets would actually hurt us. I
That's
think it
what I
actually
kind
helped
of,
us.
really? Cool.
Because people know where we're at now.
Mhm.
Someone's father, Tiffany's father, said that to me. I thought, you're out of your mind, but I think it actually has helped with recognition.
Huh. You were worried about the light, is that?
No,
the
just
factor?
the fact that people would bring outside food. Again, we make our money on the food, just like the mall theaters. Now, we're not charging $25 a popcorn
Right.
like they are,
Yeah.
but they get away with it. And we seem to get a lot of lip from people. Out of towners come in, they think we're cheap as hell, and we are.
That
Yeah,
is cheap.
I say, go to the mall and see what they charge you for Top Gun Maverick. It's gonna be like $12 a ticket.
Oh, yeah, and that's the early show.
And the kid's gonna be like $10. So they get it for $15, you're gonna Charlie. I think it's a good deal for 2 movies.
Yep.
Others disagree. They think it should be Carlo pricing, and that's it.
Do you think traffic-wise, is there any problems with that?
Really? No.
Yeah.
I mean, when they did construction a couple times, that hurt us.
Mhm.
People don't want to get involved in construction. I don't blame them a bit.
Mhm.
I don't.
Because I think where you pay now is back further. You're back
Correct.
at the main, so that has probably helped a lot.
That was done before I came along.
A while, yeah.
But when I came along, again, the person before me, his heart was in a place. He was late 80s. He was in bad health.
Mhm.
He was running second run movies. Second run means 6 weeks older or older.
Mhm.
AM sound on the one screen. So you get the ball game from like Ohio. Honestly, God, on certain nights. You'd be watching the movie and then all of a sudden Indians game would come in from Ohio. The Pirates game would come in from Pittsburgh. So that didn't work. We changed it right away. We put in FM all the screens, FM stereo. We probably put in with the digital over $100,000 in that place over the years. And, there's always something, the weather's always tough because if it rains, they don't come, no matter what. Only the lovers come in the rain. They don't come in the rain. So that's what, and then winter's tough on the place because it's an outdoor theater.
Mhm.
But people don't, they think it's the 50s and 60s. I said, we have to stay same expenses everybody else has.
Mm.
You have to pay somebody a decent wage to have to work for you, and rightly so. We buy good food, we sell good food, we don't sell just the cheapest hamburgers, hot dogs.
That's
and stuff.
good.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff we can cheap, we don't do that, it's not worth it, because we have to eat it too. So, if it's not good enough for us, we shouldn't sell it to the general public, true, that's true. I think a lot of people, like I said, don't grasp the expensive part of the things, you know? Now, we kept our prices the same for the last 3 years. One thing we did add this year was if you're gonna pay by credit card or debit card, it's 50 cents a ticket additional,
Mm.
which I think is fair. I don't think it's fair to penalize everybody and raise the prices $1 or $2 for an adult if people are gonna pay cash versus credit card. I think, you know, the banks have gotten away with swipe fees for a long time.
Yeah.
They keep going up and up and up and up. So rather than alleviate that, if you're paying cash, it's $10 for 2 movies. If it's credit card, then it's $10.50. I don't think it's terrible. I really don't.
Mm.
For many years, gas stations charged a price for cash and a price for credit.
In the last 15 years, what was the best movie? Which one
Mhm.
packed the house?
Best movie,
What packed the house?
usually it was the Disney. Usually it was the Disney movie.
Which one?
Yeah,
It was not Aladdin. What was the one before Aladdin?
Oh, I like
I have a photo of that. I can't remember the movie. I can tell you it was 2019, I think it was.
huh, I don't know.
I may have a picture of that because someone took a photo and there was a lot of cars in the lot. All on the one screen, mind you, but. I may have a picture of that, if I can find it.
Trivia question, what was the biggest Disney movie in 2019? I don't know either.
Yeah.
Well, let's see.
It wasn't Aladdin. It was before that.
Yeah.
Was it one of the dinosaur movies, Jurassic or something, maybe? It's not Disney, though.
Hmm.
No. I can't remember either, anything like that.
Is this it? That's not it.
You'll find it.
I stumped him.
Yes, you did.
I can't think. We ran so many movies here over the years.
I can't think of it
I
either.
can't think of any. I know my movies, but I can't think of what was the top movie in 2019. So Titanic and those others didn't really,
Titanic was before my time.
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah, that's a,
That was in the late 90s.
yeah.
I made the mistake of going that with 3 guys.
Really?
Yeah, we thought.
Did you cry?
Where's the iceberg? Come on, iceberg. You know, 2 hours of a love story. We were ready to blow our brains out.
I think a lot of things have changed over the last 15 years, especially, like I said, we went to digital projection, which is great, but a lot of people, I was telling we have a technician working at the theater right now, we had to get a server upgraded. Basically, server is our security feature, so we can show you the best movies. Without the server, we cannot show you the best movies.
Hmm.
Because of piracy, even though some pirates get around it by
Mhm.
camcording overseas.
Hmm.
Anyway, we were talking about this earlier about how the industry has changed. When COVID hit, there was no new releases, but they were going on streaming services because the financial executives of these studios thought they could make more money cutting the theaters out and showing right at home.
Hmm.
And then what happened over time, and they tried the same thing last year for, not to the same degree, but a large degree. And when the numbers came through, the financial people said, hey, you know what we found out? They found out that they're not making enough much money when they used to have in the theaters, and they used to have that premiere buzz and
Hmm.
be on all the entertainment shows. And they
Right.
would have it released into streaming, and they would go on disc, Blu-ray, DVD, and they would go to HBO or wherever.
Mhm.
And HBO would pay so much money if the movie was #1 at the box office for a month straight or 5 weeks straight. They figured out that by losing the theatrical release, the movie buzz kind of went away.
Hmm.
And I'll ask you, everybody in the room, when does the movie get old? When do you think it's an old movie? Like old.
A good one doesn't get old.
But I mean,
You know what I
would you
mean? But,
consider
yeah.
time-wise, when a movie will?
Probably
Yeah.
within 6 months, I think.
Yeah.
on TV.
That's the answer.
Ah.
Once it's in a home theater,
Ah.
home release, I would play Top Gun for a month.
Mm-hmm.
You can't watch it anyplace else but the theater.
That's true.
or wherever you go, it's a current movie.
Mm.
If they go to home release, it's old, within a week.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
And the other thing that happened was some of the actors and actresses started suing the studios, because their deal was, okay, you're gonna pay me $10 million, but if this movie does $100 million at the box office over the course of its life, you'll pay me 5% more,
Right.
10% more.
Yeah.
And then they took them out of the theaters in a week or so, and they said, wait a minute, you just cost me, and they figured out how much $1 million it was, and they got a lawyer, and the studio settled.
Wow.
I think the Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson from Black Widow, which was a Disney movie last year, sued, and they made it right. And they're all fine now, but that trend would have continued. Because a lot of these contraction deals with these actors like Tom Cruise or Scarlett Johansson are a flat number, and then they get a percentage of over a certain amount as a kind of a incentive or bonus.
Mm.
But if they put it in home theater, people are going to the movies and watch on their phones,
Mm-hmm.
which is not the same experience. I'm sorry. We have a 40-foot by 80-foot main screen. That's bigger than any TV anybody has. I'm sure of it. Even Texas Stadium.
Now, you actually had somebody from New Jersey. They traveled from New
Correct.
Jersey to come
Correct.
to the Pike Drive-In in Montgomery.
We had somebody from Rochester come, I think it was someplace right near Rochester, New York, to watch Tenet during the pandemic, August of 2020. And in July of that month, a woman drove from New Jersey because we were playing the original Karate Kid, Ralph Macchio, Mr. Miyagi,
Mhm.
1984. And her husband didn't believe her, and she drove all the way here, and she said, I drove from New Jersey to see this movie. My husband didn't believe his plan. I said, start in 5 minutes. She was so excited.
You said it's a different experience watching it outside, and I can recall too, because when you brought up about going to, I know the sun, when you brought up about going to TV, the first movie I can recall, and it's hard to believe, is Gone with the Wind was out there. And I don't know, yeah.
Gone with the Wind.
Gone with
Was
the
it
Wind played
Pike
out.
Drive-In?
And the part that I remember is when Scarlett was in the buck wagon underneath when it was raining. So you're in the dark. It's dark anyway. That's kind of scary, you know what I mean? And the other one was actually up in Linden in Batman. Now Batman's a dark movie to begin with, and then you're watching it in the dark. It's a different experience
I
to
do work for
watch.
box office most of the time, and when we have horror movies, our backfield, which is our screen would fit, viewing of southward Allenwood, the screen would face north, but
Mm-hmm.
that's the darker field. It's darker back there because of the trees and the angle of the theater. That was the original setup. The
Yeah.
original was a one-screen theater. For 1953 to 1991, they had a storm come through here, a microburst, and it was a wooden screen. I lost my internet connection.
Oh, wow.
So, 40 years plus termites and weather and insects, not good. So I took the screen out.
Mm-hmm.
The screens that they have in there now have all been transplanted from other old closed drive-in theaters. But anyway, that back screen behind the building
Mm-hmm.
is a dark field. When we have horror movie showings, whether it be a Halloween movie or whatever, people love going back there and getting scared to the wits out.
Yep.
Because it's dark and they're watching a horror movie,
Yep.
they think it's great.
Yep.
They get very excited about it, going, oh, it's there, great. And then we do our Halloween shows, our Haunted Drive has been very popular the last 2 years. Get people dressed up in costume, and it's kind of casually scare customers, which is all decorated.
Just get walking around.
And people walking around,
Zombies?
scaring people. Oh, yeah, they like it. Some people get really upset though. Get away from me, and language I can't use here. They get very upset. But some people will think it's great.
Yeah, it was walking around.
And
The cars were in line.
we had Michael Myers. We had Michael Myers 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Who else do we have?
And she went to a car, it went to a car, and the lady says, oh, hell no, and she left.
We believe. Oh, yeah. So, but it's a different experience.
Now I heard Rocky, what is it? Rocky Horror Picture
Rocky
Show.
Horror Picture Show is big.
When's it playing?
September 25th.
Okay.
The 24th is just a movie. The 25th is a live cast.
Okay.
We all dressed up, the whole thing.
Because I was talking to Missy and I said my kids went up to Muncie one time and they dressed up.
Mhm.
I have to find a picture, and she told me about that it was playing there, so I'll have to let them know.
But you don't get to keep a movie, right?
No, it's rental. Rental film. There's only certain films that are not, they're public domain. And then when people want to see it, it's public domain, which means it's in the general public. You can show it for free. The Night of the Living Dead, and the original Halloween movie from 1978,
Really?
John Carpenter. Everything else is copyrighted, which means you have to pay the rights to show the movies. So,
If you could show any movie that you know of, just yourself, what would that be? Which one do you think?
well, I would like the best. I mean, you have to go by era, I think. You know, you have to kind of cut it up in different years. I mean, if you go like the 50s, The Searchers is a great movie.
Oh, yeah.
John Wayne.
Mm.
That was a good movie, yeah.
If you go more modern, what else comes to mind? I think the original Iron Man was a really good movie for a superhero movie.
Marvels seem to be moneymakers, don't they?
Oh, right now, unfortunately, and this is, take it as it is, the current political climate, comedies have gone away. That's one thing in 15 years I noticed. We used to get movies from Will Ferrell, Adam Sandler, Kevin James. They did 1 or 2 films a year, all gone. Either on Netflix or they don't make them at all because they can't. I mean, we showed accidentally. We had a Richard Pryor movie. This is back on film days, probably 2012, I guess. They sent the wrong movie. We had asked for one movie. They sent us the wrong. Remember that, Pat?
I do.
So we showed a Richard Pryor movie, and it was an '80s movie. But back then, you could say this and that. And the other
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
And there was no, oh, you're a terrible person. You're this and that. And people thought it was great. Now they can't make those movies anymore because you can't offend this one or that one. I said, people, comedians like George Carlin and Bill Cosby and Eddie Murphy and
Even the Blazing Saddles you couldn't show today, I mean.
I said these guys wouldn't get a nightclub gig now because they cut in everybody. They cut everybody, but it was across the board equally. But it was funny. Nowadays people are, you're gonna get sued. We lost that whole genre.
Yeah.
So now it's pretty much Marvel movies and horror movies. Honestly,
That's interesting.
there's not a lot coming out that's not one of those two things. Not a lot of comedies.
You had some of the live concerts out there, right?
Live on screen.
On screen.
Yes, we had Garth Brooks.
Yeah.
Who was the big one? Garth Brooks. Was Garth Brooks the big one? Garth was the big one. Zach
We had.
Brown. Who's the other guy we had? He married Gwen Stefani, or marrying her. I can't think of the guy's name.
Blake Shelton.
Thank you. Didn't do as well. I thought they would do much better. Garth Brooks packed the house.
Yeah, he did.
They like Garth.
They,
You got that one.
They like Garth a lot. There was some we didn't play. There was a Metallica one. Unfortunately nowadays you can't. It takes one to ruin it for everybody. Like I said before, we have a good crowd there, good customers. But one bad incident nowadays, and you're toast. So you don't take the chance. Unfortunately,
That's a good point.
one can ruin it for everyone. So I passed on it. But it'd be great if they had those shows where they have an act that they're playing live in maybe Yankee Stadium right now. Not now, but when it's dark. And then live streaming it at our venue because not everybody can go to see U2 and Yankee Stadium or Bruce Springsteen at Yankee Stadium. I hope they continue that, but on that kind of format, where it's a show somewhere happening now, you really can't go to financially because we can fly down there. Most people can't afford that. They can watch the event on like a closed circuit kind of thing. So that would be exciting to do. But I haven't heard from them in a while, so I think with the dropping off of COVID, a lot of live action coming back. But again, I think there is a market for that, for shows that are being toured out maybe in California. You can actually watch the show live here at the same time it's playing there. We'll see. What else? Before I had the place, I had concerts there years ago. This is again in the '80s. I heard that they had the Hooters there.
Live?
Live.
Real? Oh, wow.
Who else was there? Steppenwolf, and there was a country act. I can't remember who.
Steppenwolf.
But this is like maybe '83. This is a long time ago. '84. Back when you could do that. Like nowadays with the liability and the security we need.
Yeah.
we actually looked into getting some live, security events and talking to police, maybe doing it on their free time. And I won't say where, but a lot of them were reluctant because of the whole climate now about if you sneeze the wrong way, you get sued or called this or that and the other. I don't blame them a bit. I don't. So live acts will probably not be coming to our. I think.
Well, I wanna ask you a question, you don't have to answer, but I'm wondering how long do you think you're gonna be able to hang in there on this?
It depends on, the customers really. If we get good business, they open. I think the drive-in theaters for the most part, and then there's a lot of reasons they closed all over the country, land values,
Yeah,
cable TV. We get a lot of drive-ins that went away. I won't remember, cable TV took a lot of drive-ins out. People watched home and watched HBO, which was, or cable, which is low cost and commercial free back then. Now it's neither. A lot of people just decided to stay home. But most of the places I know, customers didn't leave the drive-in, it was vice versa. They closed down. They had good customer business, but for land values or retirement or whatever, they closed down. Or they're offering a lot of money.
You may not know this, but this area had cable before practically the rest of America because of the signaling was so bad here. I mean, we grew up in the 50s and we had cable back in the 50s. So yeah, it didn't hurt the drive-in median then, just.
I think cable and VCRs, especially VCRs.
Yeah,
home video.
Home video probably is what really did it.
Home video.
Yeah.
And then the ones that hung on, but again, if you're in an urban area and you're offered a basket of money to put up a housing development or a big box store, and you're a person retirement age,
You're not close to retirement.
No.
Yet.
I'm saying, but some people
Yeah.
have done that, and I can't fault them for it. If you're gonna look to sell your house, and you had a price of the house of one, and someone offered you 5 times that, you'd say, I'm gonna take that guy's offer.
Well, that's what I mean with how it's going on out there on
There's
15.
there's still a lot of properties for
That's
sale.
okay. That's why I wonder whether anybody's ever offered you.
No.
Okay.
They always said to me before the construction happened up on 220, well, how come you never run that place? I said, it was never offered to me.
Oh.
It's gonna be a solar farm, by the way, folks, you don't know that. After the
Oh,
PennDOT
really?
project is complete,
Mhm.
he just signed on for a solar farm.
Oh.
How that
I
works
didn't
out, I don't know.
Hmm.
That's what's going on there. I think that 220 project runs through October, November this year, and then all the construction materials will go away and they'll put a solar farm. How they do that, I don't know.
One last trivia question, other than people that work for him. Anybody know where this man lives?
Who knows? Far, Bucks County, far.
Bucks County,
Far.
outside Philadelphia, is where he lives
Far.
and comes to
Mhm.
Montgomery to be able to run his.
This was a 1-year thing.
Really?
It was originally a 1-year.
1-year thing. Let's see how it goes. 1-year thing.
And it's been 16 years now?
2006, so yeah.
16 years. You
Now-
gotta love it, that's for sure.
Do you have another business?
I work full time.
That's what I thought you did. So
Yeah,
you're a
I-
hard person to get a hold of. That's
So
why.
you do this for fun?
I don't know if it's fun. Some days it's fun,
So why do you do it?
Mhm.
Because I remember that when you have the right movie and it's a nice night and the place is packed and you have people laughing or
Mhm.
having a nice time, it's all worth it then.
Uh,
But, hopefully we have a lot of those nights this year. I mean, like I said, it's really weather dependent because people don't come in the rain. They don't like to come when it's cold. That only leaves you so many nights a year,
In Pennsylvania, you get that right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And the movie has to be good.
Well, it sounds like,
Mm.
it sounds like a lot of good things are happening.
Well, okay.
Like I said,
The
we have-
industry maybe is bouncing back a bit.
They wised up on that.
Here's
They wised up.
Maybe I'm gonna take one of those and pass around. That was my article that was written in Sunday, I don't remember when it was.
2020, I think it was.
Yes, it was 2020 and
Good.
you can do what you want.
Thank you so much.
June 17, 2020 is when I originally wrote that.
Long time ago.
Long time ago, and I was so very impressed. And we have a ongoing contest,
Yes,
don't we?
you can have them
Yes,
draw
we
it.
do. And
Because I
this-
know there's people watching, so they're probably watching to see if their
Okay,
name's
so we
getting.
have had, going on now.
You can rip it and.
About a month or so, how long's it been, you know?
It's been about 2 months, cause we're celebrating, the museum itself is 10 years old, so we're just we're just a baby.
How are you supposed to get it out?
Well, open it, just open the box, the top of it. Just rip it.
Oh my goodness.
Act like I gave you a present.
It's like a Fort Knox here.
Open the big, just open the big hole.
All right, I'm gonna, the drama is just.
Well,
We
here,
have had an ongoing, drawing, just if you show up, you get a chance to, for a season pass, and this is.
Wow.
it's a family pass.
So I'm gonna let you, so,
Okay.
Go in.
stick one in there,
Mix them up a little bit.
first mix them up, and there it is, and
What do
the
you think
name
it is?
is Larry Stout.
Are you-
No, I'm just. Sorry, well, Anna Steyer. Anybody know Anna?
You guys know him?
Yeah,
Okay, well.
Are you gonna
we
see
will-
her?
We will ensure.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
She lives with us, so.
Oh, okay, well
She's
then
the
we'll
big
give you,
winner.
Ah. Well, please, I don't know, what do we?
well,
we're
I'm gonna tell the one
figure it out.
person back here, she
Okay.
wants to know.
Okay, there we go.
Can I see that picture on the box? That photo is from 1957, 58.
Uh-oh,
Look at the
that's an
cars.
old, yeah.
Oh, yeah, look at those cars. That's a class.
But the original marquee, that building is still here. That's the original screen.
But,
The one that
okay,
went over by, well, the microburst and fell during the '80s. Wooden screens do not last. Our screens now are metal.
Uh,
They're good for a while.
Well, those were the days.
They're good for a while. But long term, no.
I think I had my first kiss
They, well, I think a lot of people had their first at the bike driving.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
their first, yeah.
Correct. And once in a while, we find some interesting things going on. Well, can't mention that. We have security in the lot to say that.
Ah, okay.
That's what I was wondering, you work with the public, and I know when you work with the public, there's always funny stories.
Funny stories. We
Something
have another-
that stuck out to you.
We've had a guy leave a guitar once. Guitar.
Left his car?
Guitar.
Oh, left his guitar, oh.
Came back the next day and got it. A lot of breakdowns, which is fun. We have somebody to jump you with a jump box. But if you need a transmission job or something, happened a few weeks ago. Guy broke down and he
Car
had
wouldn't
this
start?
newer truck
Uh-huh.
and the car wouldn't start. And we tried to jump him, nope, that wasn't the problem. And he had done some work himself on the unit and all kinds of accessories and, I don't know, new alternator, but I don't know. Bottom line, he told us that it was a cold night, that the road service was gonna come pick him up in an hour. I said, "You're not gonna come out here Friday night or Saturday night. No chance in hell." He got a call half an hour later saying, "We're not coming tomorrow, they got a ride." I said, "They're not gonna come, AAA's not coming at this time of night out there." And a lot of times we can't help them. We can offer them a ride, we can tell them, if they Uber or Lyft, call someone. We can jump you, but if it's something more serious,
Now they got sheets, they're just hanging
Mhm.
out.
but there's no mechanic on duty.
Uh,
That was a couple weeks ago, a lot of breakdowns.
Hmm.
We've had people come on bikes, not motorcycles, bikes, who walk in, the best story probably is, this was during the day, I was there during the day, and this gentleman came over from New York and New Jersey, and he didn't understand what these large walls were. Large walls. And I told him they were movie screens, and he had no idea what a drive-in theater was.
Oh
No
my.
idea.
Oh my gosh.
And I tried to explain it to him, and he just,
Like, it comes.
Glossed over. and I had someone driving looking for Williamsport Hospital.
Looking for Williamsport
I
Hospital.
said, "You're way far away." Yep. During the show, 10 o'clock at night, I'm like,
Wow.
"There's a Sunoco at the bottom of the 15 and one at the top, there's the sheets now,
Yep,
they stop here, and ask us." I'm like,
Oh, gee, that's,
that's funny.
so.
give her time to face.
We've had horse and buggy there too.
Mhm.
Horse and buggy.
Horse and buggy. How about the guy with the,
Were they off?
I had tractor trailers come through and watch the movie.
Uh-huh.
I guess you had downtime, watch the movie, all right.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
You got downtime, sure, I don't care.
We need to do another interview.
That's funny.
We've had people bring in couches,
Yep.
recliners,
Yep.
blow up couches,
Yep.
blow up mattresses,
Hey, that,
tents.
Yep.
that's the best sleep out there.
We have bears in the area, so.
Oh, do ya?
Oh,
Oh.
They
yeah.
pull in and they got this.
I haven't seen a bear in a while. Pat, when's the last time you saw a bear? A couple years ago, right? Maybe 3, 4?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
there is a bear, there's a bear around.
yeah.
So I caution people, we used to do one year we did a camp out overnight, which was great, really well done. And then we raised the price a little bit, people said,
Mhm.
drop it to that. I'm like, you know what? It's a holiday weekend, and everybody's working, and a lot of us have other jobs. Like most people there have other jobs, not all of us, most of us, so.
Mhm.
But then we're over there till 4 or 5 in the morning, making sure everybody's, I was like, wait a minute. You know, so we kind of 86 that going forward. And it's a shame, 'cause I like doing it, but they're like, well, I wanna bring my own alcohol and I wanna have a
Yeah.
campfire. I said, then go down to the campground and rent a spot.
Yeah.
Go crazy with it. This is not a campground. Well, I said, it's not a campground. No, you can't drink here, A, and B, you know, gasoline and cars on an open flame just don't mix.
Yeah.
This is an Eagles tailgate, okay? You can't just do what you want.
So you don't allow alcohol? You just
No
take it-
alcohol.
Okay. That's changed. Not,
Again-
because I can remember all-nighters.
Right, and that's why we're gonna do it, because
Yeah.
we've got people in the past that think, and now if usually they're underage, and I tell them, you know, the state police are gonna
Yeah.
just love you.
Yeah.
He's gonna make his quota, just look like he does. If they search the car, forget about it, you're going to jail for weeks.
Yeah.
They usually hightail out of there pretty fast.
Could be almost a liability too.
Yeah.
Big
I
liability.
think, yeah.
Big liability.
Yeah.
Big liability.
Nowadays.
Mm.
But yeah, that's one thing we used to do in the past, and again, 1 or 2 ruins it for everyone.
Mhm.
Yes, definitely.
So, you know, you have to, you know, you wanna do more things, but you have to always keep in mind 1 or 2 people can really poison the whole well,
Mhm.
for lack of a better word, so.
Well, we would like to think that that area is gonna develop because of, you know, the new factories are starting up. The county is trying to sell off part of the golf course, and that, right on that area there where the R3 is, they wanna build homes, so it's, we think that we're gonna be developing area that, hopefully, the novelty and the uniqueness of a drive-in theater is certainly a draw, I think.
I would hope that doesn't squeeze us out though, because unfortunately, some government officials always see new homes as revenue. They don't look at, and I come from a more populated area than most folks here. More kids in school, more police, more fire,
Mhm.
more infrastructure costs, sewer lines, electric lines. So just putting developments in, sometimes taxes the roads and causes congestion
Mhm.
and a higher expense per, you know, for school and whatnot. So it's gotta be a good delicate balance. But the factories are good, no question about it, and the warehouses are doing it good.
Well,
as
the water and the sewer, they've already put in.
Correct,
So that's.
that was a requirement for the sheets,
Yeah.
that was a requirement for the sheets.
Mhm.
Again, I thought that would hurt us, but I think it's helped a little bit. I think it's because people know where it is.
Yeah, you're hard to miss.
I don't think it's done well for the subway across the way, but honestly, I'm not a subway fan, so it's just me.
Any other questions?
Any other questions, or?
Well, can we give this man a great hand for coming from Blackmore, PA? I think you said the record furthest.
No, we had customers that came from Hawaii.
Oh, yeah, we.
Hawaii?
Wow.
Were they there for Little League?
No. Most people that come, Little League's probably our worst time because all the games are on TV. And the games are free when they had the games. Now it's all limited, COVID and all. You can't, people like free better than paying money.
No, that's true.
So you can't beat, you know, free. So, and then again, it's the traffic, people do not wanna come from Williamsport more than 15
Yeah.
minutes. I can't fault them, I really can't.
Now, do you set your movies that way then? Like you wouldn't have a very popular one? You know what I mean? Not.
Most of our schedules dictated by the studios.
Oh, okay.
So like people say to me, well, you should just play this with this. I said, Disney and Paramount and Universal say, if you wanna play Top Gun,
Yeah.
for the first week, you gotta play with one of our movies, which is fine. But
Oh.
people say, why don't you, contractually, is either do what we want or don't play the movie.
Right.
They have the power. And people don't realize that, and they don't realize that how much digital equipment costs. They just were throwing DVDs in there every week, not the case.
So you don't get a choice of what movies?
Not for the first week. So I'll call it a tentpole, so your Buzz Lightyear movie, your Minions movie, Top Gun coming out,
Mhm.
your Jurassic World, they'll dictate the second feature. It must be the same studio. So it's a Disney movie first, it'll be Disney second, with
So-
rare exceptions.
If you get from this studio, it's this movie, but you have different studios you can choose from.
Correct, but if you, the big, I mean, you don't wanna pass on a Buzz Lightyear, you don't wanna pass on a Minions movie, that's gonna be very popular. They keep the turn for that first week. After the first week or so, it's relaxed. But people, fight me on Facebook, I'm like, I just tell them contractually obligated, I'm not gonna get the whole dissertation. I can't do this on social media.
Well, we wanted to thank you for
Mhm.
coming. You have a Adam Room Museum.
Oh,
This is
beautiful.
our own personal cup. You can't buy these at any store. These are very special.
Not sold
So
online.
there you are.
Beautiful.
And we want you to know, we really do consider the Pike Drive an
Mhm.
important part of our heritage. So we have all kinds of memorabilia and
Okay,
old
great.
tickets from back when and all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
So we certainly wish to keep that heritage.
We have all tickets for how long?
How old is our oldest ticket? I thought we had
I
some
don't know.
from the sixties maybe.
It might
haven't
be
we?
from
I'm trying
back
to
there.
remember. I'd have to look.
Yeah, take a picture, send it to me, I'm curious to see that.
Yeah, whatever.
Because I don't have much stuff between, the fifties and when I came around. There was a few pictures online, but not many. When they changed when the screen blew over in '91, they replaced one with a screen from, the Roosevelt Drive-In by my house, and the other one up the road, the US one in Fairless Hills, was the other screen. Both were transplanted from those theaters that closed down, and I have a photo I saw online of about 1992 when they were being installed, and the building was all blue at that point in time. The second story was just added in at that point. It was a one-story situation, and but very few photos I've seen between like 1958 and when I came along. Very few, a few, but not many. So I'd be curious to get pictures of
We'll
it.
do,
Sounds good.
we'll have to look back there.
Any other questions, folks? Or
Thank you.
Thank you.